And here is...
Hi, I'm Dean, one of the teachers. I hit my hand up the table. One of the teachers in English literature as well.
I don't know whether we should just dive straight into questions or whether you want to hear a little bit about the course. In a nutshell, you're going to be reading novels, plays, poems, discussing them, learning more about yourself, the world, politics, history, psychology, sociology, all bundled into one. And it's an absolutely brilliant course, best course in the college, obviously, and one that we're pretty passionate about teaching. Oh, there's loads of you joining, about 25, 24 of you already. Dean, can you sell it in like 30 seconds?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Well, first of all, put your questions into the Q&A bit.
Yes, sorry, that's right.
You've got us too. You've got Julie and I. And I think other than selling English literature, I think what we're really good at is building that relationship with our students. And I think that is, like Julie just said, linking to the other subjects as well. We're not going to do a sell here whereby it's just us, we're the only subject in college. We want you to see how we fit in with the other subject, because we've got so many links that you don't have to choose us or something else. We can be the bridge between all of the other subjects.
Yeah. Oh, so Caitlin's asking about the texts and do you do English presentations? Now, it's always a bit of a double-edged sword, that, because for some students, they're going to go, we love doing presentations, and others are going to run screaming for the hills. So it's, yes, we do, but we're not going to make you stand at the front of the class if that's your worst nightmare. We're not those horrible teachers who are going to make you do something that is going to make you feel uncomfortable. But that said, I think we can confidently say that over the 2 years, we will help you with your confidence and with your independence, because you're probably going to have to do something like that, either in work, apprenticeships, or at university. Right, what text do we do? We do dystopian texts, Handmaid's Tale, 1984, and then lots of other dystopian texts around that. We do Twelfth Night. We do some poetry for coursework. Then we compare A Doll's House, a Norwegian play, with the classic, our favourite, Paradise Lost, the big play about good and evil, right and wrong, from the 17th century. And the final two texts, Orange is Not the Only Fruit, with After Mrs. Rochester, that you do for coursework. Oh, it's been a full on day today. All of those details are on our website. You can have a look through all of those things. And I think we might update the website with some exemplar essays as well, so that you can see the kinds of things that we're going to be asking you to write on. Dean, do you want to...
I'll take the question from Katie then, the choice between lit and lang. I think first and foremost, you don't have to make that choice. I think don't assume that you have to choose between the two. It's not like GCSE. If you love English, a lot of students take them as two separate subjects, particularly if you're thinking you want to go down studying English at university, you want to be an English teacher, or you might do that with media, with film, so subjects that are very similar to it. I think if you stick around for 5 o'clock, I think Paul's on for language, but the big difference is we are looking at texts, obviously, as our focus. We're looking at how the world is reflected in those texts, and that's across time. Paul in language, though, is looking at language and English as it exists now and in everyday use. So that's kind of your language choices when you speak. It's looking at language and gender, so the kind of the sociology of it. So that one's much more scientific, and it's looking at language, like I say, in a more kind of everyday use. We're looking at it explored in those texts, like Julie said earlier, to do with politics and dystopia, to do with religion and theology over in Paradise Lost. So lots of other subjects bringing it together. We do envisage that we're going to be having some sort of bridging, though, towards the end of the year, some sort of experience. So the best advice would always be to take both of them and bridging, to experience them, to help you decide if you need to. Shall I answer Ellie's, or do you want to?
I'm just going to answer Lucy's really quickly, because it's the same as like the presentation one. Do you have to read out loud? Not if that's your worst nightmare, no. We're not about making anyone feel uncomfortable or anything like that. But again, we'd hope to develop your confidence and could you repeat the text, Helen? Go and have a look on the website, and they'll all be on there. So yeah, Dean, were you going to look at Ellie's
question? Yeah, because it's the one that we've had quite a few times, actually, isn't it? What works best with it? I think we have our traditional allies. We have English language, and then we have a lot of the typical ones. We have the same skills, if you like, history. And partly because we do so much context in English Lit, we look at the contextual factors of dystopian literature. So it's a useful tool. Think about what you've done at GCSE. They go hand in hand, as do subjects like politics, like philosophy and ethics, because we do similar kind of connections to them, and the essay-based skills, along with film and media. Other than that, though, I think we've got so many, I think beyond the topics, think about the skills that you're acquiring, your ability to communicate, your ability to construct arguments, to analyse. That's a skill that will put you in good stead across all of the subjects in college. And I think we've had weird ones where people have done maths, chemistry, English Lit because they didn't go down a medicine route, but it's still equipping them with skills that are really useful, and they just love English, and that's going to put them in good stead to get a good grade ultimately.
Yeah. I think that Dean's partly answering the question about summing up the course there as well. So just take your GCSE Lit course now and blow it up, basically, go with it. In that the texts get harder, but I think that's better. My daughter's in year 10 doing her GCSEs, and so she kind of shows me what she's writing, and I think, yeah, that, in fact, she was watching me write mark some essays the other night. She was just sat next to me, and she was like, oh, we do this. Oh, we've got, oh, is that where you bring in the context? So all of those skills that you've done at GCSE, we just build on them. What our students often say, though, is that they're allowed a lot more freedom of response. There's more wider reading that you can engage in. A student yesterday said she really likes it when I put like a controversial statement on and discuss that. Just so yesterday I suggested that Offred in The Handmaid's Tale is, we're asked to think that she's not indoctrinated, but actually she is fully indoctrinated into the society. Go. And off they went in their separate little meets discussing that. So it's a lot more discussion based, and that's why it fits with those other subjects so well. If you're going to do other subjects like maths, physics, literature, then yeah, just make sure you're still really committed to the Lit, and it's not just a kind of lesser cousin, because we'll be the only place where you're developing fully those essay skills, and it can feel more challenging, but we welcome anybody who just wants to talk about books, basically. Dean, do you want to do this one? What's your favourite thing that we do?
Yeah, actually, yeah, because I've just been thinking about it, and I think my standard response is to go dystopia. I love dystopia. I hand on heart do. But I think I'm realising that this year, actually, I've really loved 12th Night again. I've loved it more than last time. And that really, kind of sitting here reflecting on that question, that's what's great about our course. Every year, I find something else to like about it. But I don't just sit and think, oh, there's only dystopia that I like. It actually, I see something, like I saw something new when we did 12th Night this time. I was looking at it in a different way, and I'm sure next time it might be Doll's House that looks different, and I start to love again. So I think that might sound like I'm just not picking a favourite part, but it really is constantly changing and kind of moving along as it goes.
I think for me, I mean, I love all of the texts. I'm really excited about the new coursework that we're going to be doing with the second years. But so, for example, today I've taught exactly the same lesson 3 times in a row, but I haven't. So we've all looked at the same extract from a novel, right? We've all looked at it together, but each lesson's been different because students are looking at different things. So what I really love, regardless of the text, I suppose, oh, I love Paradise Lost, is just how varied it is. And because we're doing these live lessons, I'm often recording them, and then other classes will say, oh, I'm going to watch what you did with the other class, because they've come up with different answers as well. So yeah, there's always such lovely variety. Over to you, Dean.
Honestly, I'm going to take Katie's question. Is there some coursework? So Julie touched upon it. We have a little bit of coursework. You're going to find this across all really of the new A levels. It's an 80% exam, 20% coursework. So that exam, that's 2 exams. One that focuses solely on dystopian literature, so that's 1984 and Handmaids. The other one focuses on Twelfth Night, and then a second part of it, which is Paradise Lost in a Doll's House. The coursework, though, to kind of answer the question about poetry as well, that question about love and relationships poetry and power and conflict, that's GCSE, that's your anthology. We move away from that. But to help you, we've chosen to do war poetry, look at the poetry of conflict. Not because it's the same topic, but to ease your transition. We don't do the same poets, we don't do the same poems, but you are so familiar with it, it's a nice step in, it kind of takes the pressure off. So we don't do those specific topics, but we do a little bit. So that's war poetry, and then the text that Julie said, which we'll do in the second year, which is Orange is Not the Only Fruit, and After Mrs. Rochester. And together, you'll write 3,000 words in total over 2 years for coursework. So it's only worth 20%.
I don't know if it's the same Katie talking about her career choices and then structuring essays in English Lit. So first of all, Katie, is literature the correct choice? Literature works with so many things. I mean, unless you're going to say, I want to be a vet or a doctor, I'd say take it if you love it and you're passionate about it. Would you provide help? Yeah, of course we do. Of course we do. We spend a lot of time. So at the moment, I tell you like how teaching of second years, and I'll use the example of like a class that Dean and I share. So at the beginning of the week, there's an essay question that we're focused on, and that kind of carries right through. And then at the beginning of the week with that shared class, I'll help them develop content for The Handmaid's Tale and 1984. And then when Dean picks them up, he's helping them to bring that content together, bring in some context, and then usually end with some wider reading. But for nearly every question we look at, until you get ready for those exams, we create essay plans together, we write introductions together. In all of our classrooms, there are exemplar essays, because I think structure is something people worry about. Katie, do you say things like, I've got all the ideas here, but when I try and get them on paper, they go all over? Well, most people are like that because our brains are awkward things. So yes, that is what we try and aim to do. In return, we expect you to work hard. We expect you to read the books, to be prepared, and to bring a bit of enthusiasm to the lessons. But we need you to read the books. If you're a slow reader, that's fine, right? You can get audiobooks to help you, but that's our baseline, isn't it? Grade 4 and above, and read the books.
Which right. I suppose that answers the question that's just come in at the bottom. No, you do not need to have read the text and know the text beforehand. You'll do very little reading in class beyond 12th night, but do that one more to model how we want you to be reading and how to be critical and how to annotate. Essentially, we take nothing for granted. You're coming from very different schools. We want to show you and model to you how to be a great lit student. So with that, all of the reading though throughout the year will be done at home. We'll often give you kind of notice that the following half term, you'll be moving on to a new text. You'll have 6+ weeks at a time to read the next text and always be prepared. And I think, like Julie said, someone said, how much harder is it than GCSE? It's only harder in that you have to do all that reading yourself, that we're not just going to watch or kind of look at sections of it. We can't tell you the questions will only be on these 3 characters. If you enjoy the books, or even if you don't actually, if you can have an opinion on them, that's what's going to start getting you that kind of good grade, because you have something to say. And neither Julie or I will dictate this is how you interpret it. Like I said, the students love debating it, and we have quite a few that like to just debate us. I think even if they don't even agree with the idea, they do it on purpose because they like engaging with us like that and challenging. Actually.
Literature students are lovely, but they can be annoying because they've got opinions and they've maybe not always been allowed to express those at school, and suddenly they go for it, and it's wonderful. How many students are there in a class? Well, the cap is what, 25?
I don't think I've got anything.
But we've got nobody. We don't have any classes that are that big. Is it good if you want to be a teacher? Not if you want to be a physics teacher. No, it's absolutely brilliant if you want to be a teacher. Is it a popular subject? We've got about 200 students at the moment in first and second year. So it wavers year on year. And I think a lot of that depends on the experience of GCSE. So who knows? And someone else asked, do you have to have read everything beforehand? No, like Dean said, we'll start with 12th Night and we'll read that together in class. Not you reading it out loud. We'll watch scenes, then we'll go through it literally with the visualizer line by line. And does it matter if you haven't done much power and conflict poetry? No, not at all. I mean, even as Dean was saying that, I was thinking, well, some of the poems are like about love as well. The one, the Goodbye, where he's getting ready to go back to war and getting his uniform ready. Oh God, it breaks my heart, that one. And do you think creating books would help? Yeah, the more that you're writing, they do a lot of that in English language, Katie, a lot of that. So that might be better if you're thinking that you have to choose and you need a grade 4 or above in lit or language. Percentage for higher grades, it's difficult, this, isn't it, because of last year's grades and the whole situation with the government. It is hard to get high grades in lit, I'm not going to lie. The exam is very challenging, but we do very well. I mean, the cohort we've got this year is one of the strongest yet, and we've got loads of students heading off to Oxford and Cambridge and top universities. Push you. We won't let anyone coast, and we'll push you to get the best out of you. Some students call it nagging.
We've maintained that 100% pass rate as well. So no one fails, no one gets left behind. Like Judy said, a lot of those students haven't just gone to Oxbridge, but they've gone to Oxbridge to study English and classics, English and French. So they love it and they're equipped with those skills to get into the best universities.
So last March, just before lockdown, I took 3 students on a visit to Oxford, one of whom, I took 2 boys and a girl, and the girl said she'd never even considered applying. So because I took them down there, she not only applied, but she got in. So of those 3 students, 2 got in. That's a 75% success rate, and all 3 from state schools. Do we do trips? We try. We really do try. I had a brilliant trip planned to London. We were going to see 12th Night. We were going to do a walking tour of Milton's London. We were going to go and see, 2 plays, 12th Night and something else. We had like a tour of the Globe. I love a trip. I want to do law at Cambridge. So I was just wondering, if you're aiming to do law at Cambridge, Caitlin, that must mean that you're pretty clever. So how hard would it be? I don't know, because I don't know anything about your ability, and I don't mean that negatively. I just mean like it's hard, but people get it. What I will say about all those kids like getting on to Cambridge, etc., they're not just clever, they work. They work really hard. They bring me stuff. We do Shakespeare, we do 12th Night, and law and English literature are perfect bedfellows, absolutely. Lots of people do English lit degrees and then do a conversion course to law. That's how well met they are. I'm actually getting a video made soon by an ex-student who did A-level lit with me and is now a very successful solicitor. And she's going to make a little career video about how the skills from GCSE, from A-level lit, fed into her degree. Oh, I feel like I said a lot there. Dean?
Take a breath. I mean, this question, do people with higher grades join the course? Yeah, I think we have several students who've got all 9s at GCSE. So we don't just take those students, they take it, they do very well, but we also take and support the people with the 4 as well. So yes, you might be sat with someone who've got a lower grade than you, but we are going to be aiming for the top and scaffolding everyone up to that. So everyone's going out with a high outcome. So we do get a lot of high achievers taking the course because, like Judy's kind of hinting at, it's such a well-regarded subject by universities. They want to see the subject and the skills that you're going to get with us kind of there.
Yeah, and so you all come in and you're all treated the same. My own daughter's on the course. She won't mind me telling you, she got a 5 for her GCSE, but she's And a lot of that was because she didn't have a lot of confidence at school. And I bet loads of you can relate to that. And she went to a school where it wasn't always cool for her to like offer her ideas. So it's such a lovely environment in the classroom that people lose those inhibitions and they don't mind offering things, because you're going to make some of your best friends in the literature classroom, you know. That's one of the things we love about the subject. We have to all get on because we're talking about pretty emotional stuff. So yeah, it works brilliantly with psychology. What, you start thinking about Satan in Paradise Lost and what his motivations are in tricking poor Eve. Can't do that without a bit of psychological background. And O'Brien torturing Winston in room 101 and how he gets into his head. It's brilliant. Whew. How much coursework do we get given? Like we've said, there are 2 essays, a 1,000-word one in year 1 and a 2,000-word one in year 2. So not very much is the answer. We must be coming to the end. If you want to,
time is up. Time is up. We can just remind people that if they are still there, don't forget to apply on the college website.
Yes. Yeah, the coursework in second year is LGBTQ focused. So yeah, we do.
It's been a conscious effort, actually, hasn't it? We want literature that represents all of our kids, not just the GCSE that you've got. So we make sure that that literature represents you guys.
Yeah. That was intense, guys. It was intense.
So thank you very much for those of you that are here.
My husband was bringing in homemade bread as a little top-me-up, if you wondered who I was smiling at. We talk about food a lot as well, it's got to be said. So yeah, and you can always email the college if there's anything else that you want to ask, if you feel we haven't covered. But our website's pretty good. You can even see me and Dean performing 12th night.
Or not.
Oh, yeah,
avoid those bits.
Yeah. Right, I really hope you stay on for Paul's talk about English language. For those of you, if you've already applied for the college, do you need to apply for the courses now? No, it's good to have an idea, but no, you don't need to know for sure. You don't know what your GCSEs are going to be yet, do you? So, and that obviously will influence you. There's an awkward